being there, it's quiet. Like when someone gets thrown off, it's dead silent. You know, you feel the emotions, the air is tense because it almost feels like, you know, not to say it, but it feels like someone's dying, like you'll never see them again. Like, because you're in this environment and that's all you know for all these weeks, all these days. Like you can't go outside of this. Now all of a sudden, one of your good friends is gone and like you're not gonna see him. You know, if you stay in for the rest of the show, you're not gonna see him anymore. And you're not thinking like, oh, it's okay, like I'll be off the show in a week. Like you really feel like you're there, like you're present. And like, as of that time, like you're stuck in this villa, you know, until you're not. You know, you could be having a great relationship one day and then all of a sudden something happens and now you're fighting with everyone. So it's a lot of emotions.
TJ, Palma, welcome to From Vision to Creation. Thank you so much for doing this with me today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, TJ, most people know you from Love Island, USA. That's where they heard of you for the first time.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to your story that viewers don't get to see. So before the show, you were a national athlete, champion athlete, who was already building a successful career in real estate, which I think is amazing, especially considering that you're still so young, even still. And after leaving the villa, you've had to navigate sudden fame, a very public relationship, and the challenge of turning that visibility that you got from being on the show into something meaningful and lasting.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to getting into this because I feel that people oftentimes think that, you know, you're placed in a hit reality TV show or you get some clout online and suddenly your career's made and it's all easy from then on out.
Yeah.
We both know that's not true at all. So I'm excited to get into that in a second.
Yeah.
And I'm also excited to talk to you, TJ, about who it is that you were before the show, what the experience was actually like for you, and the life and career that you're building beyond Love Island.
Thank you. Let's do it. I'm ready to go. Thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it. But yeah, my journey's, I don't know. It's been up and down, left and right, all over the place, but excited to get into it.
Yeah, I am too. And I feel like for you guys in particular, anyone who's been on Love Island, I think that you guys have a very unique experience because you're doing the show, you don't have your phones, and then suddenly you come back and you're famous. So before we get into that, take us back to your childhood. Like, what were you like as a kid and what were your professional aspirations?
I think, well, I was always very sporty. I played every sport really, except like lacrosse and volleyball and I guess swimming too. I didn't swim, but I was very sporty. I loved just like going outside, being athletic. I was always hustling as a kid as well, like flipping sneakers and reselling PS5s and Xboxes and stuff like that. But I was also a really quiet kid, like introvert. I didn't really have like, I don't know. I was very, I don't know what's the word. I guess just like socially awkward, just quiet. And, I think, now I've grown out of that. I'm on a podcast now. So like, it's hard looking back, it's like, wow, it's crazy that I'm doing this. Because like that younger me, would be like, that's crazy. And how would I, that younger self would be so anxious and nervous to do something like that. Yeah, I mean, I had a great childhood, great family, and I enjoyed a lot of it. And yeah.
And I know that when you were in middle school, you had a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And you talked about like expressing yourself creatively at an early age, which I think is amazing. And you've also talked about the flip side of that, where you were kind of made fun of for putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
The reason I bring this up is that I find this really interesting because usually people who are bullied have a hard time breaking out of their shell. And you did it in like the most epic way. But not just with Love Island, also in business. Because I mean, you're a young guy, you're pursuing a career in real estate. Usually the cost to entry is very high, but you found a way to make it accessible to you at a young age without a ton of capital.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about like how you first were drawn to real estate and what made you actually like take the leap?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, everyone, as a kid, you look at real estate, you see all these big buildings, these houses, and you're like, wow. Or you play Monopoly as a kid, and you're like, wow, this is a cool game, owning buildings, getting paid for owning this hotel, owning that building, that rental property. So it was always like something in the back of my mind. And I was just like, yo, this is so cool. I saw people, even on TV flipping houses and, who's designing homes, flipping houses, buying homes, rentals. So I was always around that space, and I had a lot of friends in college, or not direct friends, but Tampa, when I got to university, was really up and coming, like cranes and buildings being built everywhere. So I was just naturally around it. People that I went to school with, friends are building this house or, flipping this house. So I was naturally around it. But I always thought like you needed a ton of capital to get into it. So I was always like, not put off by it, but I was like, oh, this is like unreachable right now. Maybe when I get a job and I make some money and I save up, I could buy my first home or whatever. But it wasn't until towards like my senior year, I think it was my junior year, that I met somebody that was in the Airbnb arbitrage space. And I was like, wow, this is such a cool way to get into real estate. I'm not owning the property, but I can make money from other people's homes, rent them out, and I could use that capital to eventually, buy myself. So, it was a lot of trial and error. I think that, I've tried many different business models as a kid in high school and stuff like that, like drop shipping and Amazon FBA. And I had a power washing company in Westchester, New York that I would do in the summer with my brothers. So I tried many different things and nothing really stuck. I don't think I had like this fear to get over with failing. I always, no one wants to fail, but, I failed so many times. And I believe that like each failure, I learned something extraordinarily. Like, for example, with the drop shipping, I learned how to build a website and run ads. And without trying that and without, failing at that business, I wouldn't be able to run ads for, my Airbnb business or build a website for my Airbnb business. So there's like all little things that have added up to, make who I am, my skills to this day. So, it's been a crazy journey though. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you had the business bug at a really early age. Yeah. And I can totally relate to that too. I had a photography business in middle school and high school. I invented a product when I was in college. So I was always trying something new. And I want to get into why you felt so compelled to be that motivated as a kid, because I feel like usually, not even just kids, young adults, you're not even thinking about your career. So it can be a little lonely, but I want to get into that in a second. For people that have never heard of Airbnb arbitrage, can you explain what that business model looks like?
Yeah. So essentially, you're going to people that would typically rent their home to like long-term tenants. So say you wanted to live in this house for a year lease, right? I would go to that same landlord and say, hey, I would love to, rent your property as a normal tenant, but I would just like subleasing rights. So when you get that, you're able to sublease that property and make the difference on, platforms like Airbnb. So we're taking someone's house, renting it for, let's say $3,000, then putting it on Airbnb for $300 a night. Say it got booked every single night of the month, you'd make $9,000, and then you keep that difference.
That's really cool. And to be 100% honest, I had never heard of that until I started preparing for our interview.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, where did you learn to do that?
It's honestly, like I've heard, when you see those videos, it's like top 10 ways to make money. Like I've heard about it before. Like I was always that kid where like my I don't even know if it was a For You page back when I was in high school, but like, or middle school. But whenever I was on YouTube, they would be like the best ways to make money. And it was always power washing. It was always Amazon, Airbnb arbitrage, Airbnb in general. So that's like how I heard about it. Drop shipping, of course. That's how I heard about it, but it wasn't until I actually met somebody doing it that I was like, oh shit, like this is real. I think he had 70 units at the time. And I'm like, this kid's like a year older than me and he has 70 units, like all Airbnbs. Like what am I doing wrong? Or like, what can I do to get to that point? And it wasn't until like I saw somebody actually doing it that I was like, okay, like I could do this. This works. Like, yeah. So that was the point. And I think that was like junior year of college.
Oh, wow. So you were building this business while you were in college?
Yeah. So, well, I heard about it junior year and then I didn't really get into it until senior year when I was towards the end, like when we were going into playoffs and like, then we won the national championship. And that's when I got my first deal. When we were winning the national championship, we were away. And I got the contract signed. It wound up that the house had like termites everywhere and they needed to tent it, and then lost that deal. We actually got that deal like a year later. But that prolonged, my start. But yeah, while I was in college, while I was still playing, it was I was calling landlords in the dugout, before practice. So I mean, dude, I should talk to some of my teammates because they remember that. They would be like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, like this guy just called me, this landlord, like I might close his house. So it was a cool story, cool progression, and it just worked out.
And what I love too, TJ, is that you created a course. So anyone who wants to learn your business model, they can do that by taking the course.
Yeah.
And I'm going to include the link to the course in the episode notes below, because I think that's really cool that you're paying it forward and showing people how they can get started doing what you're doing. It's really cool.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it. It's always something I wanted to do because like if I look back at who I was in college and high school, I was always someone that wanted to make money online and not like go the traditional route. And, it's just very like, I don't know, like for me, I was always like, I'm going to work this job. I'm going to work so hard. And then like, maybe they fire me. And it's like, there's nothing you could do about it. So that was always something that I had in the back of my head. And I was like, what can I do to make sure that never happens? And that's why I got into, real estate business and general entrepreneurship. So I want to help that person that's like, I want to start a business. I want to escape like this. I don't want to, maybe I'm not good at school. Maybe, everyone's looking at my failures and making fun of me, whatever it is. I want to help that person that just doesn't have the direction that like I wish I had earlier. I do believe everything happens for a reason. Like all those failures and everything helped me to become the TJ that can do Airbnb arbitrage and stuff like that. So, I just want to help that person. And,
Well, you said a second ago about wanting to build your own career so that you had more control over what happens to you. Because like to your point, if a boss fires you, that's just it. Even if you work super hard. It reminds me of this meme that I've seen on Instagram. It's like of a CEO driving like a Ferrari or something. And it's like employee, nice car. And then it's like CEO, thanks. And if you work really hard this year, I'll get to buy another one next year as well.
Yeah.
So it's like you want to be able to not just be in control of like what direction your career is taking, but also financial freedom is really important.
Yeah, I think also to that point, like that meme, like when you look at that alone, like you're gonna work so hard for someone else's dream. Like why not put all that time, effort, money into your own dream? So building something you want to do, you want to be a part of, you want to have a lasting impact on people, society, whatever it is. So that was a big thing for me. Like, why am I working for someone else's dream? Like, why not work for my own dream?
And you mentioned a second ago that you created the course because it was important to you to help out people that didn't have any guidance or mentors in business. Did you have any mentors in business growing up?
Yeah, that buddy of mine, Jack Mitchell, that was the guy that I met that had 70 Airbnbs. And like when I met him, obviously I didn't know him, but we just stayed in contact. I saw him posting on Instagram. I saw, he just got this house. Every couple of weeks, he got a new house. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And he kind of took me under his wing, helped me with everything, taught me a lot of what I know. And forever grateful. We're good friends now. So I think that, a lot of people say they're self-made, and I'd like to think that like all information comes from somebody or something. Like, you can discover something on your own, but I saw something the other day. It was like Albert Einstein had his mentor, like he had a dinner with that guy, with Albert Einstein's family every week for like some odd years. And it was just to show like, Albert Einstein has had like some significant, encounters or like, what do you call it? But it doesn't just appear out of nowhere. There's always like information that has came before you or somebody that has helped you, I don't know, learn, think the way you think, like.
One thing that I didn't realize when I first started this podcast was that to be successful, at anything, it really does take a multifaceted approach. You have to have the right people around you that are supportive of you and encouraging you. You have to be passionate about what it is that you're doing. And also you have to have a supportive life partner, because if you're married or dating someone who's constantly trying to bring you down, or, for lack of better words, shitting on your dreams, it gets hard to keep that passion alive, because I believe that to do anything at a really high level takes a tremendous amount of work, dedication, and grit. So I completely agree. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. I mean, anything, they always say Rome wasn't built in a day, but I genuinely believe that. Like, there's no overnight success. I guess maybe with Love Island overnight fame, but like, besides that, you still have to work for like where you are now, or like where you want to be. It's not just like, say you want to become an actor after Love Island. You can't just like all of a sudden now you're in like the biggest movies. You have to still audition. You have to take acting classes. Yeah, you have this platform, but you got to get to that next level. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad you're talking about that, because it's true. Like, yes, it's sudden fame for sure, but if you move to a farm in upstate New York, you don't do any interviews, and you don't ever pursue anything in the public space,
it's gone.
That's just it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you were just known as that guy who went on the show one time, and people loved you or hated you, but now like what is that guy doing? So I just want to make the most of my opportunities, and I've always felt like you have to, man. Like you could be like presented with some great opportunities, but if you don't take them, you won't go anywhere. And that first opportunity, I was telling who was I telling? I was telling my friend. He just graduated college and he couldn't find a job, and he didn't want to work he didn't want to be a waiter, or he didn't want to work at the gas station. I was like, for you to have opportunities, you need to get out. You need to go outside. You need to bust that table, and maybe you meet the CEO of X company that you really wanted to work for, and now all of a sudden he wants to give you a job, or a shadowing position or something. So like, I always feel like you need to be out there for opportunities to come. They're not just going to come to you when you're just sitting at home not doing anything.
I want to go into like the sudden fame and what that was like for you just as a human being going through that, because that's a very heady situation. I seriously can't even imagine what that experience is like.
It's crazy.
Yeah, because when people start to become famous, it's kind of gradual. You get like a viral video here and there. Your audience is slowly building. You guys literally go in like private citizens, and then you come out public figures. Before we go into that though, TJ, can you talk to us about like what it was like getting cast on Love Island? Like, did you apply? Did they go to you? Like, what was that experience like?
Yeah. Crazy. So I was first introduced to the show. I don't remember what year it was. I think it was like season 3 or 4 that they did in the US. And there was this girl, Phoebe. I forget her last name, but Phoebe, she was from like my county, and she was on the show. And that's like I just heard from like the town and stuff, like, oh, this girl from Westchester is like on the show. And I watched I don't even know if I watched any episodes, but I saw some clips or whatever it was. And I was like, yo, that's so cool. I grew up down the shore in Jersey, like every summer. So I was always surrounded by like the Jersey Shore show. We would see them on the boardwalk. And I always thought it would be so cool to like just live in a house with like all your friends. And it's funny how it turned out, because in Love Island, you're doing the exact same thing. And it's, a reality show. But I was reached out to when I was like 20 years old. They didn't know I was 20. You have to be 21. So I did the first interview, like it was a FaceTime. And they're like, oh shit, you're 20. Like, you have to be 21. And I'm like, oh, whatever. So obviously couldn't do it. Then the next year and a half, I had a girlfriend. And then when I was 23, they reached out again, and I just went through the process. So like they reached out, and then you have to fill out the application. Like if they reach out to you, well, you have to fill out the application regardless, like whether you do it first or someone reaches out and then you fill it out, like you have to do it regardless. So they reached out to me again when I was 23. I had to fill out the application. I did my first couple interviews, and then every step of the way, it's like, you don't know if you're going to make it, but, I honestly didn't think I was going to. So that's why I kept like doing it. If they told me day one in December, the show starts in June, like, hey, like we're going to put you on in May, and I had 6 months to think about it, I probably wouldn't have done it, just because like my overthinking and like my anxiety would have got the best of me. But the fact that they were almost like, not like dangling it in front of me, but like saying, hey, like, you did great in your interview, but nothing's, there's no promises. Like we'll reach out in a few weeks or a couple months if, you make it to the next interview. And that's what happened. Like, I got casted pretty early, in the winter before the show. So I would go through an interview and then I wouldn't hear back for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month and a half. And then all of a sudden you get a call and you're like, hey, can you do an interview tomorrow?
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, oh shit. All right. Yeah. And then I, put on my nice shirt. I got my shorts on cause it's on Zoom.
Yeah.
And, you go through it and just try to be yourself. And I can't remember how many, but maybe like 5 interviews. It was like, the first couple were like, it was an hour long, and then they cut it up to like 5 to 10 minutes and they send it to the execs, and then you meet with the execs. And then if the execs like you, you meet with the network. And then if the network likes you, you got to meet with, everybody in person. So they flew me out to LA a few weeks before the show, met with everybody at a table like this, just 8 people around the table. And I was shitting my pants. I was so nervous. And yeah, I don't know what I said or did in that last interview. But they liked me enough to fly me out a few weeks later to Fiji. And, yeah, it was a whirlwind. It was a crazy journey. I have some videos of me in the hotel and stuff like that. And looking back, it's like, wow, like, who would have thought, that I'd be here on a podcast, or living this life in LA. Like I'd never been to LA before until after the show. So, I'm super grateful, man. There's a lot of good that has came with this. So, yeah.
And you just said too that going through the interview process, you need to be yourself.
Yeah.
Which I feel like in a weird way is one of the hardest things to do when you're being interviewed, because for a traditional job, you kind of know what an employer is looking for. You can insert some personality here and there, but for the most part, they want like a polished, professional person. So you step into that character. When someone's like, hey, you might be on this show, be yourself, TJ.
Yeah, you're like,
what was that experience like? Because I feel like that would be like, I wouldn't even know what direction to take it.
I'm not gonna lie, that was like that interview process, and even being on the show was like the most nerve-wracking, uncomfortable thing I've ever done in my life. Like, especially, I can't speak for everyone. I'm sure people have had an easier time going through the process, but for me, it was like so much stress on myself, like overthinking. Even in the villa, I'm like, oh shit, like, do I say this? Do I not say that? Like, just overthinking in general. I think when I went on the second show, I was a lot more myself because I've been through the process. I've been in front of cameras now. Even on podcasts, a couple of years ago, sitting down, I couldn't do a podcast. Like, I had my buddy in college do a podcast with me, and I was just like stuttering. I couldn't speak. And so I've came a long way. But I'm going to be honest, I took a shot before every interview just because I felt like I was more myself, and I wasn't overthinking and everything, and it let me be a little loose. I don't know what I said or did, but I think a lot of people think that, to get on these types of shows, you have to fit a certain box. And I feel like it's totally not that case. It's like they genuinely look for people that are actually being themselves, like whether you're quiet or you're loud or you're in the middle or you're saying crazy things or like you're scared to say things, whatever you actually are, like who you are as a person is what they're looking for. They're not looking for this like crazy, wild person, because sometimes it's not authentic. But as long as you're authentic to yourself, I think that's something they look for most, because they don't want someone who's like thrown into this villa and now they're trying to act a certain way.
Right.
Because that's not the whole goal. The whole goal is, I think as the producer, is to like get this type of person, and see how it mixes. And this is a giant puzzle piece and everyone fits somewhere. And it's not like, all these loud, crazy people that are good TV that might be acting into this villa. It's all pieces, and it's one giant puzzle piece for sure.
One thing that I think that there's a lot of curiosity about in general is like, what is life actually like in the villa? And where I'm coming from with this question, it's not like the superficial, like, tell us what we want to hear. It's more like, the psychological aspect, the emotional aspect. You mentioned that you have anxiety. Like, how is it like coping with those intense emotions while you're in that environment?
I think, everybody's case is a little different. Like my girlfriend, for example, she got flown out to Fiji like a few days before she went on the show. I was flown out 3 weeks before I went on the show. So I was in a hotel room for 3 weeks with no real contact to the outside world. I didn't have my phone. I didn't have anything. I had Netflix. I had my journal, and I had a couple books. I had my Kindle. So, a bunch of books on there. My entertainment, like at night, I would sit and watch the sunset, and I thought to myself, like, wow, this is the craziest thing ever. Like just watching the sunset, because I was so out of touch with like reality. Obviously it was the craziest dopamine detox ever. But I think that specifically changed the way, I don't know, maybe the way I thought. I went in, let's say on a Monday, and Jeremiah got kicked off like 2 days later. He got voted out, and I was crying hysterical about him leaving. And I knew him for like a day, like literally a day and a half. And that goes to show, like, I don't know exactly what it is, like the science behind it or whatever it is, but like to know someone for a day and a half and to hysterically cry that they're leaving is like unbelievable to me. Like there is something about it that people don't necessarily know. I think the audience, obviously like I'm explaining my journey and stuff like that, but I don't know what it is. There's something psychological or whatever it is, just being out of touch with everything. And, maybe that's the way humans acted hundreds of years ago. I don't know, without phones or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. You grow very close to people super quick. Like the connections, like, if you're talking to a girl and you like her and she likes you, the relationship grows so much faster. Like you see it grow fast on TV because it's, an hour episode, but like that's all you have in there. So like you're spending so much time. We say all the time, like days are weeks and weeks are months in there. So, a 3-day relationships, might be 3 weeks, it feels like it, but I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's just like being out of touch with reality, and like, these 10, 12, 15 people that you're with in this room are like the only people you can talk to. There's something about it that's like, it's very hard to explain.
It's so funny that you mentioned that. I always wondered, like on Love Island or other reality shows, when someone gets kicked off, or if it's like perfect match or they're trying to date each other, when someone goes and starts dating another person and the person that's left behind is like devastated. I'm like, girl, we're like 2 episodes in. Like, how did that happen so fast?
Yeah, it's like something in the air. But I think it's, we're so disconnected. Like we're only spending time with these people that we're around. And I was thinking the same way. I'm watching this. I'm like, how are these people crying? The dramatic music. Oh, I'm sure that the music makes it more dramatic. And like, I don't know. But being there, it's quiet. Like when someone gets thrown off, it's dead silent. You feel the emotions. The air is tense because it almost feels like, not to say it, but it feels like someone's dying. Like you'll never see them again. Like, wow. Because you're in this environment and that's all you know for all these weeks, all these days. Like you can't go outside of this. Now all of a sudden, one of your good friends is gone, and like you're not going to see him. If you stay in for the rest of the show, you're not going to see him anymore. And you're not thinking like, oh, it's okay. Like I'll be off the show in a week. Like you really feel like you're there, like you're present. And like, as of that time, like you're stuck in this villa, until you're not. But things change like that. You could be having a great relationship one day, and then all of a sudden something happens and now you're fighting with everyone. So it's a lot of emotions. Yeah.
Well, the show is packed with drama and is super intense. And because of that, I think that it didn't occur to me until talking to you just now, actually. I feel like getting a group of people in their early 20s together, taking away your cell phones, just that right there. Forget all the extra stuff like the challenges and the love dynamic and the drama. Just that alone is an interesting case study. Like, I would be very curious to hear what an expert on human psychology would have to say after having watched the show.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny because I've always been one to, It's ironic that now like my job is to like post on social media and be out in the public and stuff, but I was very the opposite. Like I didn't like social media. I would post, but I would like, post and then I would delete the app and I wouldn't go on it for a week. And I was always trying to stay off my phone, and I was the kid, like me and my buddies, we had a 30-day challenge. Like we would use no phone or there was this app where you could like change all the app icons to just like words. So if you open the phone, it would literally just say messages, photos, and that's it. Like it wouldn't have any games or nothing. So I was always like one to like dopamine detox, I guess you could say. But this was like the ultimate dopamine detox, and I think that had a lot to do with it. I mean, after I was in the villa for like 2 weeks, I forgot my phone password. I couldn't log in. Then when I logged in, I felt just like this weight hit me, and my heart was beating crazy. I think I got my phone at like 11 p.m. I couldn't go to bed until 6 a.m. Like just because, not because like I was so busy catching up with everything, but because my heart was beating so fast. Like it was like this new technology that I've never seen before. And I think that had a ton to do with it, 100%.
And then on top of all of that, you guys are pursuing love relationships, which can tap into like a very primal part of us, especially like insecurities and whatnot, because if you feel rejected, it affects you psychologically, emotionally, you start to question yourself, etc. When you went into this experience, did you actually think you were going to find love? Or were you like, oh, like who knows what other people's motives are? Like, did you think that there was a real shot at love, or were you just kind of going in there with an open mind? Yeah,
I think now it seems like crazy that I thought I was going to find love on a reality TV show, but before I went on, I didn't know about TV. I didn't know people went on TV to like try to become actors or like try to like maneuver certain ways to like make it to the end or whatever. I just genuinely thought this was going to be a good social experiment. I could potentially find my wife and like we're going to have a fun time. I'm with all these people that are probably good ass people, and like I don't know, I was very new to it. I was very green, and like now looking back, I'm like, damn, TJ, you're kind of like stupid for thinking that way. But I mean, I think that helped me a lot because I was super genuine. I was super myself. Maybe if I thought the opposite way, like, oh shit, I'm sure there's people that like don't have the best intentions in here, then maybe I would have tried to like move a certain way. But I really went in there, and I always think positively. So like whatever the best outcome is, I always like think that's going to happen. Maybe that's a part of like, the life I live now. Like, I always thought I was going to have a successful business. So maybe that's why I have a successful business now.
Yes.
Like I believe in the way you think, like you create your own reality with your thoughts. Huge believer in that. So maybe that's why I found my girlfriend. Maybe that's why, because I genuinely thought I was going to. But yeah, it's crazy to say that, but I did, man. I really did.
And one thing that's really cool about having found your girlfriend, Iris, on the show is that now you guys get to work together, which is amazing. I also get to work with my husband, and it's so much fun.
That's awesome.
But you guys met in an experiment, really,
which
is so cool because you guys have this like chapter of your life to look back on, and I'm sure it inspires all kinds of reflection within your relationship.
There's always Iris says it a lot, because there's always that like thing in the back of your head where like, did they put Iris in there for me? Did they put TJ in for Iris? Like, because it is like really strategic in the way they place people and like what they do. So like, it's always in the back of our head, like, why did they put me in when they put me in? And why did they put you in when they put you in? But I think, everything works out the way it's supposed to. But we've had a crazy journey, but it's awesome to like look back and say like, hey, we went through all of this together and we still made it out. We're still together. We're still thriving, like having fun, loving each other. So it's cool, memorable that we could look back and say like, mom and dad was on a TV show or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know, just to watch it all unfold, like the first time we ever met each other, like two people that are on completely opposite sides of the country that probably would have never met otherwise. I think it's pretty cool. And yeah, destiny, I guess.
No, actually, and I totally relate to that because I've never been on a reality show, but when I filmed this podcast, even like I have this idea, this memory of how the conversation went. and I form a pretty strong opinion about it, usually after it's over. And then I go rewatch the footage and I'm like, whoa, like that's not at all how I remembered it, you know?
Yeah.
And then the crazy thing is that after I watch the footage and change my mind, I'll change my mind again. So I think that's really interesting that you guys get to go back and watch how you all met. And I'm sure that, does that happen to you too? Does your perspective change watching it back?
I mean, I guess, like, I honestly really haven't watched. I watched like the last half, but I didn't watch like when I was on, just because I felt like me watching that, I get this like sense of like I'm super anxious again. Like I'm back to that old TJ.
Yeah.
And like I really can't watch it. It's like it like cringes me out. Like I can't believe I did that, said that, look like that, you know, just like all these like overthinking emotions, you know, it just like overflow me, I guess. So it's like hard to watch. I'd obviously watch Beyond the Villa and stuff like that, but I think, you know, it's TV though. So we take it with a grain of salt because an episode's an hour long, and like one episode's usually like a day and a half, 2 days. So like 48 hours is combined down to 1 hour. And, you know, of that hour, maybe, you know, Iris and I or myself is only in it for 10 to 15 minutes in total. So like, it's really just like a pinch of salt. It's not the whole thing. So like, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because it's like, you remember things that obviously weren't on camera. Things might look a certain way that weren't really that way. You know, they make things more dramatic than things actually are. It's TV at the end of the day. They want to have a good show. So, you know, you have to look at it that way as well. Like, hey, you know, this isn't everything.
I've always found that very interesting, particularly around reality TV, especially like in this case where every season it's new people. To your point, we only get like a tiny fraction of you there, but then people think, that's TJ. I know TJ. I know who he is. Like they formed this crazy opinion about you. For me, it's the equivalent of like going to the Grand Canyon, snapping a photo of just one part, and then showing it to someone and being like, TJ, this is the Grand Canyon. You don't need to go now because you've seen it. You know, like you know it now just by seeing this one image.
Yeah. Or if it's raining in the Grand Canyon, you take a picture of it when it's raining. You're like, oh, it always rains there.
Good point.
You know? So you don't always get to see the flip sides of things. I know for me, like when I was in there, you know, obviously I didn't know what people thought. When I came out, I was like, damn, everyone hates me. I don't know what the hell I did. And then like, obviously you watch it and you're like, oh shit, that does look kind of bad. Like, oh, you know, that doesn't look the best, but it's just TV at the end of the day. Like you got to take it with a grain of salt. I think it's hard for like reality TV stars, I guess, you could call it, like, to live something and then watch it back and you're like, wait, that's not really how it went.
Yeah.
You know, like, so that kind of messes with you. It messes with me a lot. I think now, you know, I've dealt with it. I've gotten through it and I'm like, okay, it is what it is. Like I went on a TV show. Like, you know, I think what hurt me was I went into it super green, super new, thinking like, oh, they're just going to show me, you know, like, and then coming out and it's like not exactly the same way you thought it would be. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, you know.
Unfortunately, people are going to hate. And also, I'm sorry, but if you watch a reality TV show and you buy 100% of what's being sold to you, that's your problem.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the person you're watching. And one thing that I find really fascinating about like hate comments, I can't imagine watching someone on TV and then being like, I hate that person. So much so that I'm going to whip out my phone and like go to leave
their page.
A comment on their page for everyone to see.
Yeah, it's
crazy to me.
It's mind blowing. It is mind blowing. I think it's something I have gotten used to, I guess. It still like sucks to see it all the time, but it's really like mind blowing. Like, damn, these people are really taking the time out of their day to like send hateful, mean things to me. Sometimes even wish death. Like, it's crazy. Like the fact that like people go to those lengths, I get it. If I post something and you don't like it, hey, I don't like that. Okay, whatever. But like to say like I shouldn't be on the show, like my girlfriend doesn't like me, I don't like my girlfriend, you know, like all these crazy things, like it's just you don't know anybody. You don't know me, I don't know you. You know, you watched a TV show for 8 episodes and
think you know me now.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's like whatever.
Well, TJC, so This part has really fascinated me because you guys quite literally come out and are thrown into a different world. It's not like, oh, the show's over, like that's a wrap. Now we're going back to real life.
Yeah.
No, like you have a totally different life now.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the first moment that you realized, oh my God, my life has changed?
The first time I realized like, oh, my life has changed a bit. I always, I didn't realize how big the show was really because like I was in the hotel for those 3 weeks beforehand, and they'd take me to the pool once in a while, and like people would try to scout me out and be like, "Are you going on Love Island?" And I wouldn't be able to say anything. I couldn't talk to them. I had the cast. I think they're called like cast managers. They would have to talk to them. I wasn't allowed to say anything to anybody. Like I could only talk to the cast manager. So people would try to take pictures of me and like find out, am I going on the show? And that was like the first sign of like, wait, people are kind of like trying to figure out if I'm going on the show. Like they're looking for me. And then I think after the show, it wasn't until maybe I got to the airport. And when we got to the airport, I think it was me, Austin, Grayson. I think it was just us three. Us three were in the airport, and people were coming up to us. Yo, I just saw your episode. You just got kicked off. Like, oh my God, I was crying. I was this. I was like, wow. And you want a picture? Like, you want to take a picture with me? Like, I think that was the first sense of, holy shit. But, even in that moment, again, the overthinking started to come back. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're taking pictures, but like, this is going to end in a couple days. Like they're not going to care about this, in a couple days, a couple weeks. Now it's been a year and a couple months later. What, they just ended like last month. So like a year and a month later, and we still go to the mall, and it's like, hey, can I take a picture with you? Like, oh my God, I just saw you did X, Y, and Z. And people are really keeping up with us, the cast and everything. So yeah, I think that was the first time, but I still to this day, like I feel a sense of like imposter syndrome. Like what? Like, why are you guys taking a picture with me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just a normal guy. I used to play baseball. Like, I was just a sports guy. I used to go to college. Like, I was in a fraternity. Like, like I was just a normal guy. And now all of a sudden, like, people are checking up on my life, my girlfriend and I, what I'm doing, my business. Oh, hey, I just saw you got a new Airbnb. Like, that's awesome.
You're like, what? How do you know that?
You saw that? I forgot I even posted that, So it's like, it's so cool that these people are really, keeping up with it. And at the end of the day, I wouldn't be where I am without the people that support me. So it's a blessing.
Well, it is an interesting thing to have happen to you. And I feel like unless you've experienced it, you really don't understand or like know how it's going to affect you. And by the way, I've had this to a way lesser degree than you did, because you guys came back and like hundreds of thousands of people knew who you were instantly. I remember one time I was up in the mountains at Lake Arrowhead, and I was at Starbucks waiting for my latte or something. And these two like younger girls were like looking at me and like whispering, and I was like, "Oh my God, like do I look that fucked up? Like, is it my hair?" Like, and I got so self-conscious. I was like, "What the hell's going on?" And then they asked me, they were like, "Oh, do you have a podcast?" And whatever. And then
that's awesome.
But that was the first time, and I thought, it's just such a weird thing to have happen. And I feel like for you guys in particular, like coming back when it's like one day to the next, and like tons of people are like curious about you and approaching you. I know that there's a lot that weighs on you psychologically. And the reason I want to touch on this is that, like, kind of like what we talked about earlier a little bit ago, people think you get clout, you're in a hit reality TV show, instantly your career's made and you have it figured out. People don't realize that with that visibility comes a lot of pressure. And also, like, I'll speak for myself here. I think that when people are commenting on you and like the way you look and the way you say things and your opinions on stuff, and they're just constantly trying to like tear you down or like leaving you nasty comments. I don't know about you, TJ, but I can feel like shit about myself all on my own. I don't need anyone's help.
Yeah. So tell me about it.
No, seriously. So like when people are like coming at you, it feels like ugly, especially at the beginning when you're not used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about the emotional and psychological impact coming back to this new life where tons of people know who you are, and now you're experiencing hate comments regularly. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like for you, and how have you been coping with that?
Yeah. I mean, for one, like just being thrown in this world, like I didn't know what an agent, I didn't know what a manager was. I didn't know you needed both. Like I didn't know what their jobs were. I didn't know what a PR company was. Like I didn't know any of this. And I think that stressed me out so much that like I was thrown into this and I had no guidance. I felt like, other people kind of knew a little bit of like what's going to happen after. I had no freaking idea. I was relying on my mom and my cousin. My cousin went on a show many years ago, and he was kind of searching for a manager and stuff. So he helped me with that process. What is a manager? What is an agent? All that. The social media stuff. I had, it was really just like me figuring it out myself. But the hate comments, like I was lucky. Like when I first came off the show, I had a lot of positivity. Like while I was on the show, I don't think it was super positive, but when I got off and, the way I was thrown off, people felt, bad for me and whatever. And I had a lot of support. So super grateful for that. But there was still obviously some negative comments. My mom till this day, like was crying when I was on the show because of all like the hateful things that people said and the negative things they said about me. And I think, you got to take it with a grain of salt, but it's when you read things, like I said before, like whatever, like you consume yourself with, whatever, like if I read negative things all day, I'm going to probably start to think negatively. Mm-hmm. So that was like, and I always thought positively. I always like would take something negative and try to change it into a positive and live with that thought instead of the negative one. But with social media and the hate comments, it was so hard to do that because it was so much hate. It was so much negativity where it's like, you're just reading one after another, after another, after another. And I mean, even till this day, people think I have like work done on my face, like my lips. And my mom goes crazy. Like my mom is one to like fight with people in the comments. I'm not. I try not to. I stay out of it. But I just try not to read it and I stay off. I post and I'm off. That's kind of what I've been doing now. So that's like my way of coping with it. And it's hard because I was bullied in middle school, but not to this extent. Like I got a little glimpse of it, with a little cyberbullying in school, people saying things and whatnot, and treating you badly. But the constant, it's not like, all right, it just happened today. It's like every day, multiple times a day, tens, hundreds of times a day. Whenever you post, 100 comments, half of them are bad. So it's like, that was a struggle for me, especially off of the second show because, I did get a lot of love off the first show, off the second, not as much, but, it was just something I had to go through and I think I deal with it a lot better now, just getting off my phone, realizing that like when people come up to me in person, they're like, hey, like love you on the show. I love your stuff. I just saw you did this with Airbnb. You just got this property. Like, I love that because it brings me back to like reality. Like not everyone hates me. Like you see 50 hate comments and you're like, oh shit, the whole world hates me. But it's just like these 50 random people that could be in Ohio or Nebraska or like these random places. They're not all 50 people that are surrounded you. So it's like I try to keep myself aware of like, there is love. Not everyone hates you just because there's 10, 20, 50, 100 comments that are negative. Not everything is negative. So just trying to go back to that thought process.
And the funny thing is that of those 50 haters in the comments, 25 of them, if they saw you in person, they'd probably ask you for a picture.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's funny.
And another thing too that I always find really interesting, we can get 10,000, 100,000, whatever, a million likes.
I was going to say the same thing. I know what you're about to say, yeah.
On a photo, but you get 500 hate comments, you're like, oh God, are they right about me? It's like we place more emphasis on the criticism than we do the love.
Yeah.
I think that's just a human condition. I think we're all kind of guilty of that.
I think it is. I think it's something everyone's got to, whether it's social media or not, like even in person, you could wear that outfit and, you go to a party and everyone loves it, but there's one person that's like, why did you wear that? Now all of a sudden you're stuck on that one person,
For sure.
So, it's not just social media. It's everything. I think people deal with it on a daily basis, and that's something I don't know. Maybe I don't know how to fix that. I don't know if you can fix it. It might be just like human nature to. I mean, I'm sure you could try to reprogram, and only focus on the positive, but it's hard. It is.
I think it goes back to something you said earlier. You said, I think the reason I had a successful business was that I believed I was going to have a successful business. I think that no one's immune to cruelty. No one likes to be treated poorly. It feels bad.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're going to do with it, with our day and the feedback that we get, that's a choice. Sometimes it's easier than other times, but I think that we have to actively choose to be positive. If not, I mean, if I tried hard right now, I could find a reason to be stressed out or anxious or upset, but like I'm going to choose to focus on the things that make me happy.
Exactly. And like I said before, like just because I thought I was going to have a successful business doesn't mean I have one, but it's because I thought that and, I really focused on it. It built this desire to like really want to start a business. So thinking that way helped me to take action towards that. It's not just because I thought about it, but the thoughts created the actions and the plan and everything behind it. So, it's funny. People say like, oh, I think I'm going to win $1 million in the lottery. Yeah, but you can't just think that. Like you have to think about it, create the reality that will lead to your actions and the steps you take to find those opportunities. Like it's not just going to be just because you thought about it. It's not just going to happen. But yeah, focus on the positive and like why not? Why not? It can only help you. Can't hurt you.
I believe it was Henry Ford who said, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. There's in my art class in middle school, there was a poster of that. And my mom said it. It's crazy because my mom said it. My mom always said that exact same quote to me. And it was like the last day of school or something like that. She said it to me again. And I walked into art class and I never looked at any of the posters, but that was the first poster. It was just on the wall the whole year and I never saw it until she told me that on the last day. And I always remember that poster, which is crazy, but it's true.
And I'm glad you made that point. You can't think something into existence, right? It's like having the right attitude is a part of it, because if you don't think you can do something, you're probably not even going to bother trying.
Exactly.
But like putting effort behind that positive attitude, that's where you can actually create magic.
Exactly. It's like if you were going to do something and you were like, for example, I was playing golf yesterday. Like if I really thought, I can't hit the golf ball, I'm not going to try as hard. I'm not going to like put as much dedication into it. But if I thought I could, I'm going to try harder. And then that leads to like you actually being able to hit the ball, but if I take a shitty swing because, I don't want to put effort into it because I don't think I'm going to hit it regardless if I do or not, then obviously I'm not going to hit the ball good. And then me seeing myself not hit the ball good, like validates that negative thought of me. And then it just spirals and spirals. So if you could spiral the other way into positivity, that's what you got to do.
So TJ, you return back to a new life, and now you're going back to your business. How did the visibility from the show change your overall business plan? Because I imagine, now you have this whole other side of the business that you can explore. I'm sure that's influenced your original business plan. Can you talk to us about what it looks like now?
Yeah, definitely. From the start, I was solely in Airbnb arbitrage because I was just like a broke college student, and that was the only way to get into real estate without any money. So now after the show, obviously I have a bit more capital. The Airbnb side of things has been going great. Now people are seeing this business and they kind of want to be a part of it or they want to learn. So that's why I built the course and stuff. But people that, have homes and they want to get into Airbnb, now we manage properties. So not only do we do the arbitrage and, I own a couple properties, we also manage other people's properties. So I felt like, all the eyes on the business, people wanting to get into that, we were able to turn our business not into just an Airbnb arbitrage company, but an Airbnb management company as well. So we're able to take on a lot more properties. And that's been great because, we have these systems, we have the business built, and now we're just taking on other people's homes for management because we're just going to use the same systems and replicate it with, John's property, Sarah's property. So that's helped us a lot to get more properties, more units, more doors. And obviously with the course now having eyes on what I'm doing, I'm able to drive people to that and help people. And hey, if you want to make money, if you want to start a business in real estate, you don't have the cash flow or you don't have the startup capital, like this is a cool way to get into it. And it's not that expensive. And I wish I had something like that, when I was in college. So yeah, it's helped a lot, the visibility.
And now also having been on TV, I mean, there's so many great real estate shows, reality shows on like HGTV and whatnot. Yeah. Do you see that being something you'd explore?
Yeah, I mean, that would be like a goal, a dream to be on some type of HGTV show, flipping a house, like that would be so cool. I did a couple videos on YouTube where I was like touring properties and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. It was like a glimpse of that. Mm-hmm. So I see it, just got to work my way towards there. Not everything's handed, like we were saying before. So just got to get to that next level and progress and try to get better and pitch those ideas and partner with the right people, and it will happen.
And TJ, what is something that, having gone through this experience, being on Love Island, coming back to a totally new life, taught you about yourself that nothing else could have?
For me, I was always one to like shy away from fear, just like hard times. Like I was always I wasn't confrontational at all with fear or anxiety or any of that. And I was always one to like push it down, just shove it down. I got anxiety. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. But I think going on the show, one, talking to the therapist, you have to talk to a therapist like every week or like whenever you want. She really helped me to realize that like I need to acknowledge it, face it, and like push through it instead of like believing that I don't have it, because I do. Like I feel it. I feel it, but I'm telling myself I don't. I still feel it.
Yeah.
So that was huge for me. And there's a saying like the lion's gonna keep chasing you if you keep running from it. The only way it stops is if you go towards it or you face it. And that's the same thing with anything. So if it wasn't for the show, putting myself in like probably the most uncomfortable thing I could ever do to a socially awkward, like anxiety-filled person. Without that, like I wouldn't be doing this podcast. I would be too nervous to show up today. And that was like, it was a turning point in my life, like facing your fears, because the only way to learn how to swim is to jump in and do it, because you could learn on a whiteboard how to swim. You could read all the books about swimming, but if you don't jump in and actually swim, you'll never be a swimmer. So,
well said.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, and TJ, I'm very glad and grateful that you're being so like open and honest about struggling with anxiety, because a lot of people do. And for some reason, there's like a lot of shame around that. Like nobody wants anyone to know if they're feeling anxious, And someone who also suffers from anxiety myself, like I know that it's difficult to open up about it, but I think it's really important for people, especially like you, who like to your exactly what you just said, like you did something that is like an anxious person's worst nightmare.
Yeah, worst nightmare.
I'm glad that you're talking about it though, because this is proof that just because you're anxious, that doesn't mean that you need to allow your anxiety to inhibit you from going after things that you feel passionately about. And TJ, what is the biggest life lesson you've learned so far?
I would say that I read a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and it talks all about how your thoughts create your reality, and whatever you believe and your burning desire, having a burning desire and a passion for something, you will ultimately achieve it if you really work towards it. That and facing your fears. Like I lived, it sucks to say out loud, but I lived 22 years of my life, 23 years of my life with so much anxiety, shying away from things. And I wonder to myself, I believe everything happens for a reason, but I wonder to myself, like what would have happened if I got over it sooner? Like what opportunities have I missed out on because I was too anxious to go public speak somewhere, or, that YouTube channel I had in middle school. If I didn't have that like social anxiety and I didn't care what other people think, maybe I have this huge YouTube channel for, it was video games, you know, like where would that have taken me, you know? So I try not to think about that because, you know, I just want to look, you know, be present where I am today. I'm in a great spot. I love my life. But like what experiences have I missed out on because of that fear and that, you know, uncomfortability with being myself and, you know, having this anxiety? Like what would I have done? What would I have accomplished if I got over it sooner, you know? So I don't want to live. It's almost like they say don't live with any like regrets. And it's just like one of those things. It's like, what would have happened? I don't know.
Do you feel that in some weird way, like I believe that we have free will, so I don't think that like life is predestined, but
I agree.
I think that some certain things are meant to happen.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Like anytime I interact with anyone, I feel like, think about all the decisions that you've made in your life, even the smallest one of like saying yes to do this, like, and then actually driving here and like, and then then I think about like the decisions you've made, the decisions that I've made that led us to this table to have this conversation right now. I've noticed so many moments in life where like I can look back and I can say, oh, okay, it makes sense. Like that kind of sucked back then, but it makes sense now.
100%. I mean, like me saying that before of like, what could I have achieved if I got over my anxiety sooner? I believe that, you know, I got bullied in middle school to prepare me for this life, like to throw myself into the deep end, get over that. Now I'm able to, you know, see the hate comments online and I'm like, that's nothing. Like, you know, and I wouldn't be sitting at this table if I didn't go on the show. If I didn't, you know, I tore my shoulder playing baseball and I had to go to a different school and I went to Florida instead. If I didn't go to Florida, I wouldn't have started my Airbnb business. You know, if I didn't tear my shoulder, I wouldn't have started my Airbnb business. So like every single thing is lined up to where I am today. And one small decision that, you know, I said no to or said yes to, that's flipped. You know, I wouldn't be sitting at this table. I wouldn't be in LA. You know, I wouldn't have my beautiful girlfriend. You know, I wouldn't have gone on this show and it changed my life. So I'm super, super like blessed and grateful. And I believe everything happens for a reason. Everything works out. And I put all my trust in God.
And TJ, where is the best place for people to keep up with you and everything you have going on?
Yeah. All my social media handles are at TJ Palma with an extra A at the end. So TJ Palma A. Yeah, you'll find everything.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to include all of the links in the description below, along with your course too. So anybody who's interested in learning more about Airbnb arbitrage, want to keep up with TJ and his life, click the links down below. And TJ, if you could go back in time and offer your younger self one bit of advice specifically tailored to your life's journey, what would it be?
Oh shit, I'm gonna cry, man. I don't think it's something I would love to show myself in middle school, like the life I live now, what I do now. I have a YouTube channel. You know, I used to get bullied for that and I deleted that channel because of that, because of getting bullied. So if I could just show him that like it does get better. Time heals all. That's what I would do.
Well, TJ, thank you so much for being so open and giving so much of this conversation. It really was a great pleasure to talk to you today.
You as well. I appreciate you having me. And I thought I was going to get through without shedding a tear, but I didn't. But it's all right. I appreciate you having me.